This story began when I was 13 years old enough to be aware of my surroundings and recognize danger, yet still young enough to attract a certain type of creep. We lived in a relatively busy neighborhood, situated on a dead-end block near a forest preserve. Across the street from us was a sump, and if you ventured through the forest, you would reach a small community park. One Saturday night, a mini carnival was being held in the park. Since I had no plans with friends, my mum suggested I check it out. She was the kind of mum who encouraged independence and didn't mind me being out after dark, so I decided to go. I crossed through the forest with a flashlight and passed through the fence leading to the park. The carnival was vibrant, filled with colorful rides, a Ferris wheel, a mini roller coaster, and various spinning attractions, along with concession stands and game booths. It was late enough that the crowd had thinned out, making it feel more intimate. There was also a large circus tent with red and white stripes where I saw people entering. Curiosity got the better of me, and I poked my head inside. I found 4 rows of audience members seated, while 3 clowns performed tricks on a small stage. One on a tricycle, another juggling, and the third dancing around. The dancing clown noticed me and skipped closer, waving his index finger as if beckoning me to join him. Instinctively, I knew I didn't want to do either, so I turned away. I soon ran into a friend at one of the game booths and hung out with him for about half an hour. Before long, the carnival began to wind down and people started leaving. I said goodbye to my friend and headed back towards the woods. As I neared the fence, I heard a voice behind me. It was the clown who had waved me over earlier. He asked if I wanted to see the backstage area of the circus tent, promising cool things the guests couldn't see. I quickly declined and walked into the forest, glancing back every few seconds to ensure I wasn't being followed. He stood there, watching me with a painted smile, which made the situation even more unsettling. Once I was out of sight, I broke into a run until I felt confident he wouldn't find me. I didn't tell my mom what had happened because I loved having the freedom to go out whenever I wanted, and I feared this might ruin that. It was a half-mile walk through the woods. I was about 3/4 of the way back when I heard it again. The sound made me feel sick. I turned around and saw the same clown emerging from the darkness of the woods into the light of my flashlight. When he got close enough, I threw my flashlight at him and ran towards home. I could hear him behind me until the road became visible, and then I heard him turn away. When I got home, I was panting as if I had run a marathon, and my mum was understandably concerned. I lied and told her I had jogged the whole way back. After that night, I never spoke of it again. Until I turned 15, I had a deep-seated fear of clowns, stemming from my first encounter with one at a county fair when I was 5. It was a cold Tuesday night in November. My parents were on vacation, and my siblings were out for the evening. My friend, whom I'll call B, wanted to come over so we could walk to the fair a few blocks away. We arrived at the fair, which was set up in a large, empty parking lot. We wandered around, playing carnival games, when we encountered a clown. He didn't speak, he just smiled and made silly hand motions, resembling more of a mime than a clown. He seemed to inch closer to us every few seconds. B and I decided to leave, and as we walked away, I mentioned how that was weird. B responded that it was more creepy than weird. As we made our way back to my house along the quiet neighborhood sidewalks, we heard footsteps behind us. We turned, but there was no one there. This continued for a few minutes until B, feeling freaked out, said he wanted to go home. I convinced him to stay with me. I was scared too. When we reached my front door, I rummaged through my pocket for my keychain, trying to find the right key in the dark. That's when B nudged me to turn around. A clown was hiding in the neighbor's bushes, staring at us. When he realized we had spotted him, he emerged and began walking toward us. I panicked, scrambling with the keys until the door finally opened. We rushed inside and slammed it shut. I called my parents, who told us to arm ourselves and hide upstairs. We went to my little brother's room and peeked out the window. The clown stood in our driveway, looking up at us as if waiting. I quickly shut the blinds and we crouched down, breathing heavily and panicking. After about 10 minutes, he disappeared. We hoped he had given up, but for all we knew, he could have been hiding on our property all night. I was just relieved we made it home in time. If you've seen the news lately, there have been numerous reports of clowns luring children into the woods. I was one of the first to experience this, and it was utterly terrifying. I want to remain anonymous for now, just in case the clown finds out who I am. Here's what happened. I am 15 years old and live in a small town in South Dakota with a population of around 130. Summer was winding down, and I had a job at the local lumberyard, which was a great place to work. I helped customers load lumber into their vehicles, a mindless job that kept me physically fit. The best part was that my house was exactly 1 mile away, making the daily walk to and from work a routine. After a long day of hauling lumber, I clocked out around 10:30 p.m. The moon was just beginning to light the road, and the sun had set behind the hills. There are no houses between the lumberyard and my home. The area is very rural. The road has hills that rise high enough that you can't see what's on the other side until you crest them. The road is narrow with no shoulder, but it was freshly paved, flanked by trees and thick vegetation, with a few game trails leading to the road. The sounds of crickets and frogs created a symphony as I walked. Typically, the walk home takes about 30 minutes. Having done it countless times, I often entertain myself with music. I would put in my earbuds, turn on some tunes, and enjoy the walk. About halfway home, I heard what sounded like high-pitched cackling laughter. What the hell was that? I muttered to myself. I removed my earbuds and stopped, thinking it might be part of the music, but it didn't fit the song. I stood still, straining to hear the sound again, but the croaking frogs were so loud that not even a scream could be heard. Dismissing it, I continued home. The next day, I started my shift at 2 p.m. and began my walk to work around 1:30. It was a beautiful day, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. As I walked, I kicked rocks along the pavement, enjoying the satisfying sound they made as they skipped across the surface. I kicked one rock, and it landed next to something strange in the dirt beside the road, a bright red ball. Curious, I picked it up and squeezed it. It squeaked. Immediately, I recognized it as a clown nose. What the hell is this doing here? I wondered. I decided to keep it and took it to work to show the other staff members. I even put it on and honked it, earning a few laughs. The day passed as usual, and around 10:30 p.m., I clocked out and began my long walk home. I had forgotten my earbuds, so I couldn't listen to music on the way back. As I walked, I spotted a faint figure about 150 yards away, appearing to be a deer standing in the middle of the road. It was hard to make out due to the fog and moonlight. As I got within 100 yards, the deer must have gotten spooked as it scampered back into the forest. Little did I know, this was not a deer, but something far more sinister. As I passed the spot where the deer had fled, I heard footsteps about 20 yards behind me. This struck me as strange. I had never seen a deer return to the road after being scared off. Before I could turn around, I heard a voice say, "Hey there!" I turned to see a clown standing in the middle of the road, hands behind his back. He wore a baggy clown costume that was dirty and faded, with smeared makeup and blackened eyes. He tilted his head and said, "You have something of mine. I need it back." He let out a small, unsettling laugh. "I don't have anything of yours," I replied, backing away slowly. My house was still a quarter mile away. That's when the situation shifted from odd to terrifying. "Well then, if you don't have my nose, I'm gonna need yours," he said, pulling something from behind his back that looked like a machete. In a panic, I turned and ran down the middle of the road with all my strength. I could hear his bare feet pounding the pavement behind me. I didn't dare look back. I was afraid it would slow me down. The blades, which I assumed were machetes, scraped against the asphalt. I was in great shape, but I could still hear his footsteps growing louder, and he let out a giggle that fueled my adrenaline. My lungs burned as I crested the hill. At that moment, I could hear him almost right behind me, as if he were about to grab me. Then, out of nowhere, a truck crested the hill, headlights shining on me. I waved my arms in sheer panic, and the driver stopped. I quickly turned around to look behind me, but the clown was gone. I told the man in the truck what had happened, and he called the police. I will never take that walk again. I have no idea how the clown got there or why he waited for me. There were no vehicles parked nearby and no other houses for miles. This was my worst nightmare come true, and now I've learned that similar incidents are happening to others. Clowns hiding in the woods and stalking people. Is this a cult? A group of terrifying clowns with a goal to instill fear? I have no answers, but I do know that I will never view clowns the same way again, nor will I walk in the dark without fear.